Good morning, everyone. Robin Shea here. This is day 20 of Before the Fork, the 28-day experience. And wow, what a morning. I have been up since about 4:45 this morning. And we went and ate at IHOP early with Mac, and then took him to the recruiting office and got that process underway. So anyway, coming at you a little bit late. Did some housework and just kind of listened to some music today and kind of re-centered after such an eventful weekend. Hope everyone had a great weekend. And today I want to talk to you about diversions, or another word for tips, tools, and techniques that help you get through struggle and frustration. I don't know if it's what the chaos of my home life for the past couple of weeks, but it hit me this morning when I got home. We had leftover German chocolate cake from the birthday celebration last week that I was getting out of the refrigerator, cleaning space. So that's sitting on the counter. And then also had some amazing apple pie that a friend baked and sent over yesterday. So that's sitting on the counter. Mac wanted some goodbye pastries from Panera. That's sitting on the counter. And I was literally circling the wagon like a buzzard. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I mean, I felt weakness where I typically don't feel weakness. So I don't know if it's just an accumulation of the stress and everything that's going on, if it's cyclical, if it's something in my cycle. But wow, I was feeling it. And I think I was the only one because everyone else was passing by all these goodies without a second, batting an eye at them. That's one of the things about living in a household full of young men and my husband is that I'm the only one with obviously a menstrual cycle. And that definitely plays into your difficulty and resistance at some points in the month. So anyway, I was struggling big time with all of these treats that were sitting out on the counter, especially the German chocolate cake. I mean, it was one of those where, if you don't actually cut a piece, did you really eat any? Even though you took a forkful every time you passed by the pan? Yeah. Well, I managed not to take a forkful. I managed to breathe through every time I passed by and I wanted it. I was able to do a 10-minute reset and literally set it on my watch and not give into it and just keep passing by and keep passing by. I had my German chocolate cake, not my German chocolate, I had my apple pie and ice cream last night. So it's a no-go today unless I put it in the freezer for Wednesday. It's a no-go, which as a matter of fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Uh-oh, phone's ringing. Hang on. Sorry about that. Good heavens. This sucker's going crazy. We'll get back to that. I'm sorry for the interruption. Anyway, that's a really good idea because there's only 2 pieces left. I don't want them to go to waste, so I'm going to put me a piece back into the freezer and pull it out on Wednesday. So anyway, I kind of looked at the book this morning, or I got the book out, and I was looking to what the message was for today, and it's about Marcus Luttrell. And for those of you that are not familiar with Marcus Luttrell, he is the lone survivor. And there was a movie made about his historic story of survival. He was the only survival of a Navy SEAL team of 5, and he managed to crawl 7 miles to evade capture. And that was with a shattered body, paralyzed from the waist down. And basically what he did, and my boys are really big Marcus Luttrell, as well as any military survival story. They love that kind of hard knocks survival type thing. What he would do is he would stretch his arm out way as far as he could get it from his body. Now realize he's paralyzed from the waist down. And he would put the rock just outside of his reach. So just toss the rock this far outside of his reach. And with his arms, he would crawl to the rock. And he did that for 7 miles. He had every reason in the world to give up. All of his buddies had just perished. He had just watched his friends lose their lives. He could have had that defeated, give in, I'm done, nothing's worth it. But his mental fortitude and his desire to survive and his desire to get back to his life gave him the wherewithal to use this simple rock as a measuring stick and get it just out of his reach. Not a goal out way in the distance, but a goal just that far away from him that he could reach. Get that little bit of oxytocin, pitocin, all of the good maybe not pitocin, but all of the good feel good hormones, feel good neurotransmitters that would give him the energy to do it again and do it again until he actually crawled 7 miles. Hi, Teresa. So that story has always stayed with me because he had every reason to quit, but he chose himself. And he organized a reward system that allowed him to stay present and allowed him to get the little micro wins that led to the major win, which was his rescue and his ultimate return to the United States and everything that has happened in his life and career since that time. So I obviously, in a much lesser sense, I was faced with some struggles this morning, really, really wanting to devour the chocolate cake because I knew that would release some feel-good hormones. Hi, Stacy. That would allow me to just kind of null and dull out the anxiety and the stress that has been in my home. Not in a bad way, not bad stress, just the stress of change. A lot of change going on in my home, with one son coming home, one son leaving, another son getting ready to leave, just a lot of movement in my home. And I knew that, at least my hindbrain knew, that chocolate cake, that German chocolate cake, the apple pie, the Panera pastries, I knew that would dull the stress for just a moment and just wash me with those feel-good hormones that sweets can actually bring about. But I did several 10-minute pauses. I got on the other side of the craving or of the impulse, and I'm totally back in control now. I feel fantastic. Not to mention, I had a win. So go, Robin! Yay, Robin! Way to win. It's funny because one of the things I did during those 10 minutes was vacuum. And I say that's super funny to me because when the boys were little and I was getting, because I had so many little ankle biters all around and of course the clutter and the dirt and everything that goes along with having an active young family. And I would start to get stressed out. The boys had a running joke among themselves and they're like, okay, mom's about to blow, quick, get her something to clean. And that just used to crack me up. So apparently cleaning releases a lot of the same hormones for me that eating that chocolate cake would have, because it was my first go-to. It was my first form of therapy when I told myself, okay, we're going to do a 10-minute pause. Now, how are we going to occupy these 10 minutes? Boom, grab the vacuum. I was good to go. So I just thought that was kind of funny. So anyway, if you guys, especially us women that are in the group, and the majority of us are women right now, when you are circling through your cycle, and I don't know when your hunger bug hits, mine always hits mid-ovulation. So a lot of people will self-soothe when their period comes. Mine is, the need is mid-cycle when I'm ovulating. That's when I get the most aggressive. That's when my testosterone rises. I get a little more combative, and my appetite increases substantially. So knowing these things about yourself, tracking those things about yourself, you can really put into place some tools that are going to help you navigate the weakness, the hormonal weakness and hormonal vulnerability of those times. Now, there are some times that you just need to factor in either your pain threshold really makes you vulnerable, and rather than fighting the vulnerability, maybe you set aside a self-soothe day and you plan for that. My point with this is don't let it control you. You control it. So if you want to allow yourself that time to soothe yourself through food, to have your cheat meals, whatever that looks like to you within our 80-20 guidelines, plan for it. Have your cheat scheduled out. I mean, make sure you know exactly. Don't waste it. Don't waste it. Don't become vulnerable, not have a plan in place, and go to Milk Duds or Ho-Hos. Okay? Plan it so that when you're feeling the vulnerability, one of my most vulnerable times is when I'm in pain. So either menstrual pain, because I get incredibly terrible menstrual cramps, or when I get a pressure headache from the barometric pressure. I get those randomly several times a year. And when I'm in that kind of pain, I'm the most vulnerable to breaking my own rules. And so I have to have something safeguarded and in place. Well, we have a little theater in our basement. And one of the things I do down in the theater, it's out of sight. And remember, we're primal creatures. When we put something out of sight, our mind will go to the foods that are accessible, not the foods that are not accessible. That's the whole reason that we have the snack tower. Our mind will start going to accessible foods and will pull away from inaccessible foods. It's the reason that you cover in your refrigerator things that you want to eat later, leftovers you want to eat, cover those in saran wrap. Leftovers you do not want to eat, cover those in foil. It sounds a little wasteful, but the chances are that items covered in foil will ultimately get tossed. The items covered in saran wrap will actually be eaten. So just little mind tricks. Remember, this is all tips, tools, and techniques to help us overcome ourselves. So one of the things I do is down in our theater room, I keep really great snacks. So they're like toffee. I've told y'all before, caramel and toffee, forget it. I'm a sucker. So they're not up here in my main kitchen, but they're down in my theater kitchen, or theater room rather. And I know that they're there, but they're not accessible enough for me that I would ever go for them unless I was having one of those moments that I needed to factor in a 20% because my resistance was just way, way, way too low. So that's my message for you today is when you're thinking about overcoming obstacles, think of the story of Marcus Luttrell. I know his is on a completely different level, but the importance of that rock, the importance of the micro wins when you're really facing something that is challenging you, as I was this morning, really wanting to devour that entire German chocolate cake. Little micro wins. I had two back-to-back 10-minute pauses because the first 10-minute pause was not enough. I had to come back, reset another 10 minutes. That got me on the other side of the craving and the impulse. And now I'm good to go. I'm good to go. So that's the message tonight. Just think about yourself. Think about employing tools for yourself that are going to help you allow those tools to work together, string them together so that you can get on the other side, that you have little micro wins along the way. That releases things in the brain that will keep you focused and keep you task oriented so that you can overcome the impulse. And then the second part of that are, if there's times in your life that you know the impulse and the temptation for weakness is going to be more than what you want to mentally deal with at that moment, factor it in, plan for it, prepare for it, make it count. You own it. Don't allow it to own you. There's no worse cheat than the one that is in your mouth, going down your throat, and you didn't even recognize that you had opened the package because your hindbrain was totally in control of your impulses. So we're just rerouting that a little bit, and we're going to take control of our vulnerability so that we can either overcome it or we can dictate what it's going to look like. And that keeps us in control. Okay, you guys have a super great day, and I will see you back here tonight. Until then, know that I'm thinking about you. Allow yourself to be blessed every day and never forget to go out and be a blessing to as many people as you can. All right. Talk to you later. Bye bye.